Today's topic is, do we love the Lord? Do we love the Lord as we really say that we love the Lord? Do we honor and serve God? Well, if we today we're going to read some passages. I'm going to read some passages from the book of Psalm, chapter 97, verse 10. Ye that love the Lord hate evil. Ye that love the Lord hate evil. It's plain text, black and white. If you love the Lord, you hate evil on all levels. There's not a compromise that you have for evil people. There's not a compromise you have for any type of level of sin. Also, in the book of Proverbs, it says, the fear of the Lord is to hate pride, is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy. The evil way and the forward mouth. Do I hate the forward mouth? Forward basically means a person of perverse speech, of a perverse tongue, always cursing 24/7, just cursing, 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 cursing. Can't speak to a friend or can't speak to a peer without, cursing. The evil way. There's a lot of people living a life that is an evil way. Homosexuality is a big one for today's sinful society. There's many of people who have a lot of homosexual friends, but they say that they are Christian. God says the fear of the Lord is not in you. The fear of the Lord is not in you if you do not hate the evil way. Also, in the book of Proverbs, Solomon talks about a righteous person will not be in the presence or sit in the seat of the scornful. Okay? The presence, your circumference, your circle, your inner circle, it's supposed to be with people who are like minded, like unto you, people who are believers, like unto you. This, this infatuation with homosexuality now is definitely a topic that I'm gonna touch on a little bit, but not too much. There's just too many Christians out there, with homosexual friends, homosexual family members, and they're saying, you know what, you know, I don't agree with their lifestyle. I don't agree with their lifestyle, but this person is my friend. No, the fear of the Lord is not in you. Here in Scripture, it makes it plain. To love the Lord is to hate evil. Okay, the fear of the Lord here in Proverbs, fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, arrogancy, the evil way, the way of life that will send a person off the path of God, in the forward mouth. In the book of Amos, which is the prophet Amos, in chapter 3, verse 3, also says, can two walk together except they be agreed? And that is the question. How can you have a friend except you agree with something that your friend is about, or just agree on the same level as a friend? Okay. So let's say you don't agree with his sinful living, his drinking, his smoking, his homosexuality, whatever it is. Okay, let's say you don't agree with it, but for you to have something in common with the sinner means that you yourself are a sinner and you do not wholly trust God, or you do not wholly fear God or love God as you say you do. It's here in Scripture. Also in the book of John, verses 14, chapter 21, Jesus says, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. Keep God's commandments, keeps God's words. That's the person who loves Jesus. This is Jesus. This is God in the flesh speaking through his son Jesus. He that hath my commandments and keep them, that's a very big word, keep them, is he that loveth me. And he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself unto him. Also, in verse 23, Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words. If a man love me, he will keep my words. This is the New Testament, which a lot of people like to rely on for their salvation and their grace. This is the New Testament. This is Jesus speaking to Judas, one of the, not Judas Iscariot that betrayed him, but Judas is another follower who became a disciple. This is Jesus speaking to Judas, said, if a man love me, he will keep my words. Okay? And my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. Okay? And also going down to verse 24, it says, "He that loveth me not keepeth not my words or my sayings." I'll say this one more time. He that loveth me not, a person who does not love the Lord, keepeth not my sayings, and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father which sent me. Okay. If you love God, basically, it's simple. Like the wages of sin is death. If you sin, you die. If you sin, you die physically, spiritually, however God chooses to deal with that person. It's simple. If you love God, you follow his commandments. There is a consequence to pay if you do not follow the commandments of God. There will be a price to pay. This is just for people who truly say they have a spiritual connection with God, but really don't have a spiritual connection with God. Judas here in verse 22 asks Jesus. Judas said unto Jesus, Judas saith unto him, not Iscariot, Lord, how is it that you will manifest yourself unto us and not unto the world? Okay, then Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. Judas asks, how will you manifest yourself unto us? How will we get revelations? How will we have wonderful and marvelous dreams and prophecies? And how will you speak to us? How will you manifest yourself unto us? Keep my words. Do my commandments, keep my sayings, the ways of old, which are the prophets of old, from Isaiah to Ezekiel to Samuel. Keep the words of God. That person belongeth to my Father, which is the one who sent me. Do my bidding. This is why a lot of people are not receiving revelations. This is why a lot of people are not receiving responses to their prayers. This is why a lot of people are not receiving what they expect from God, because you're not doing the will of God. We are not fulfilling the role of a true Christian believer, which is to separate ourselves from sin. Also in the New Testament is a passage I have to find. We are not to sit at the same table and eat with sinners. Okay, we are not to sit at the same table. If you're not sitting at that table to preach the word unto a sinner, if you're not sitting at the table to rectify or try to rectify a mistake of that person or minister to that person, you should not be sitting at a table eating and gossiping about nothing with a sinner. You should not be in no type of agreement with a sinner. You should not be going to the movies, the club, club period, or any type of recreational activity with a sinner. You do not love God, because you do not hate the evil way. You believe that, we're all human. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all make mistakes. No. Jesus says, if you are his, you belong to him, and therefore no sin will be found in you. Jesus said, no sin will be found in you. Okay, so God knows that the mission that he has given you, you can bear the mission. God would not say unto us that we are capable of not sinning if we were not capable of not sinning. God gave you a mission, and God said, listen, I know you can do this mission. You yourself believe you cannot do this mission because you believe that it's your wretched flesh that holds you back, which is another misteaching about in the New Testament, this flesh that we live in. We can't live 100%. No, you're a liar. We can live 100% to the commandments of God. We can obey God. The flesh will not hold us back. It's just that us will not completely leave the flesh, because the flesh is appealing to us. But God says, listen, I know you can go from henceforth until I call you home without sinning. I know you can go from henceforth until I call you home and do my will. I know you can do these things, but you're telling yourself, no, you can't. I'm weak, the flesh. So who's the liar, you or God? God is not the liar. God says you can do it. You're saying that you can't because your flesh makes you weak. So these are things that we have to examine about ourselves. But this is just a short, brief passage about if we really love God, we will obey his commandment. We will obey his commandment. Here's what happens when we choose not to follow every commandment. of God. And also found in the book of John, when we think we're doing the Lord's way, but we're not doing the Lord's way, but we're kind of doing things our way. Also in the book of John, chapter 15, talks about every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. Okay? Every branch that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Okay? If a man, if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather him and cast him into the fire, and they are burned. Okay? People say, oh, God has done away with the Old Testament. It's not the Old Testament we should follow anymore. But Jesus says right here in chapter 15, book of John, verse 6, if a man abide not in me, if a man doesn't do my will, if a man doesn't obey my teachings or my Father, if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and withered, and men gather that branch and cast that branch into the fire to be burned. Jesus quotes actually a scripture. He is quoting the prophet Ezekiel right here. I have to be exact and find the book of Ezekiel, where Ezekiel gives the parable of the vine tree and the branch. And God basically asks Ezekiel, it says, Ezekiel, what's the difference between a branch and the vine, a tree and a vine? And, Ezekiel's like, tell me, Lord. And God basically tells Ezekiel, you can't do nothing with a branch. I mean, you can't do nothing with a vine. You can't take wood from it. You can't make a house out of a vine tree. You can't, hang any ornaments on the vine tree. But the tree, if the tree, bringeth forth fruit, God will purge that branch and he will bring forth more fruit. So God says, since the vine tree cannot do what the tree can actually do, because with the tree you can build a house, you can cut it down for wood, you can hang ornaments on it, you can decorate it, it could be used for fire. So here's what God says about the vine tree. God said, if the vine tree cannot be used, the vine tree, God here is talking about, he's talking about his people. His people are the vine tree. He said the vine tree is good for nothing. Therefore, I can do nothing with the vine tree. Therefore, I am going to cast this vine tree into the fire, that it may be burned. Okay? My people have become corrupt. They have become complacent. They have become lazy. I cannot do nothing with these people. They are a stiff-necked people. They harden their hearts at my word. I cannot do nothing with them. He cuts them off and casts the vine tree into the fire to be burned. As it says here in verse 6, if a man abide not in me, he is thus cast forth as a branch and withered, and men gather them to cast them into the fire. So Jesus here quotes Ezekiel and also other prophets in the Old Testament. So basically, if we do not do the commandments of the Lord, which is the Old Testament and the New Testament, if we do not follow the laws of God, we will be separated from his people and we will be cast into the fire. And yes, if you have been called by God, and like I discussed in the last video, if we have been called by God and you have been selected by God, and you somehow fall off the path, because you can fall off the path, and you revert to the past ways of your life, you will be cut off permanently and your salvation will be lost. Salvation can be lost. Paul explains this explicitly all throughout his entire life and through his entire ministry, that if he just makes one mistake and goes back to his former self, he too will be in judgment of hellfire. So we have to just start obeying the laws of God. So that's just the scripture reading for today. Thanks.